And Diamond, because we realized when we were reading your BCRs that a lot of people weren't exactly understanding the question or what it was asking from you. So what we're going to do, you guys all hear Mrs. McCray and I say annotate over and over again. And so what we're going to start doing from now on, and you're going to be getting points, is annotating the BCR prompts. Because if you look at this, it's massive. There's a lot of words, a lot of sentences. But if you don't annotate this, you're more likely to not answer the entire question or to understand yourself. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to read it, and after I finish reading it, I want somebody to tell me what it says in your own words. In the myth, the lotus flower has specific effects on people. Identify examples. Identify examples of imagery that help the reader to picture the effects the flower has on the characters in the story. Be sure to support your explanation with examples from the passage. Someone raise your hand. Tell me, what does that mean in your own words? You've seen this before. Don't act like this is brand new. You wrote about this.
It's brand new to me.
What does this mean? Marquez.
It's asking you to tell the effects that the flower has on the people, and then explain how the author used imagery to prove the effect that the flower had on the people.
Exactly. Very good. Somebody tell me what he just said, because he was right on. What did Marquez just say, Janice? How did Marquez explain this in his own words? Somebody tell me what he just said, because he was exactly right.
Explain the passage in your own words. Don't put that on.
What are you explaining?
Because I ain't even done it.
Effects on the flower. Thank you, Camilla. So when I write, I want you guys to write. So everybody should have your own BCR in front of you. We're going to annotate this right now. First thing. First sentence. In the myth, the lotus flower has specific effects on people.
Underline that.
This is the very first sentence we're looking at. Go ahead and block that off for me on your paper. Because we're going to chunk this so that it's easier to look at. I don't see pencils writing. I see people staring off. Go ahead and chunk this. First sentence. When you look at BCR prompts, the first sentence, the first statement is always making a statement about what you just read. It's always telling you something about it, right? So, in the myth, so we know that we're reading a what, Kalima? What are we reading? What are we reading? A myth. Okay, what do we know about myths? Is that fiction, non-fiction, informational?
Fiction. Fiction.
Okay, fiction. So we already know this is not an article, Rashad. We know that it's a myth, right? It's a fiction. It's fiction. It's a myth. Then it goes into the lotus flower has specific effects on people. Now we're looking at what specifically are we going to look at? What are we focusing on so far, Rashad?
How the lotus flower has specific effects on people.
Exactly, right? But don't jump ahead. What is the thing we're looking at? What's the
flower, the lotus flower.
Yeah, good job. The lotus flower. So underline the lotus flower. Because right now we know, just like Rashad says, that something has specific effects on somebody. That something is the lotus flower. What does it mean, Diamond, to have an effect on people? Something affects you.
Like the side effect, like.
So what it does to you, right? Diamond, what it does to you, right?
Yeah.
All right, Camilla, right. So we're looking at what we're looking at.
Hurry up so you can join us.
Miss McCray.
We're looking at how the lotus flower has specific effects on people. That's our very first thing. So what we know from this is that it tells us that this happens in the myth. Let's move on to our next sentence. Somebody read this for me. Let me get a hand. Besides Marquez. Let me get someone else too.
Everyone should have written this down. Everyone's BCR is in front of them. Put it on your desk.
Imani.
Where's yours? Take it out.
Read the next
Take it out.
sentence for me. Wait, I can't hear Imani. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You didn't get your BCR back?
The effect.
Our second sentence, right? Mark this down, everyone.
Circle it, underline it. Exactly what you said and get this.
Mark it down.
You need a
It's our second statement in the BCR. So you see how we're chunking this? So although it's massive and it's big, we're So we have a little bit more information. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, if you, just in case somebody forgot. What is imagery? Don. What's imagery?
All right, go back to the seat. Look at you, BCR, and do exactly what she
A
did.
picture in your mind?
BCR.
That's all.
Anybody have anything else to add about imagery?
Your senses?
Something that sparks your senses. Very good.
Pictures that help you. Pictures that help you create an image in your mind and help you what's the name of the text. Like,
Right, so visualizing it, right? Make sure you're marking this. Make sure you're marking this. So we know what imagery is. We know what imagery is. And even if we forgot what imagery was,
do I mark Joanne in the paper?
that's fine. Imagery that helps the reader to picture. So it tells you to picture something. The effects the flower has on the characters in the story. Don, I'm putting that to you because you talked about the effects.
Girl, don't get inverted sometimes. I'm saying, alright. I thought you was explaining.
So we're looking at the imagery and the effects the flower has on the characters in the story. So what does this mean? What does this sentence mean? Identify examples of imagery that help the reader to picture the effects the flower has on the characters in the story. So what is the thing we're looking at? What's the thing we're looking at? Keisha?
We're looking at the effects the flower has.
The thing is the flower.
What's the purpose of getting out of school? They say it's supposed to stop showing after the flower.
All right, look. The thing is the flower, right? And what does it want you to identify, Rashad?
Examples
of what? Examples of imagery, right? All right, now let's take it one step further. One step further. So we know we're looking at the flower, we're looking at imagery, and we're also, and now lastly, what's the last thing we're looking at?
the flower.
We're looking at the flower, we're looking at imagery of the flower, but what about the flower? What about the flower? Danny, turn around. The effects of what?
On the characters.
Thank you. This is very, very important because if you only answer half of the question, you're not going to get it all right.